Web3.tv.
Hello and welcome to Web3 TV. I'm Lisa Amnegard, and today we're at the Dubai FinTech Summit 2025. Joining me right now is Josh Gilbert, market analyst at eToro. So thank you so much for joining me today.
Thanks for having me.
And you're a market analyst. So how is the market right now?
It's been a different start to the year, let's say. I think we look at the US market, for example, 2023, 2024, we'd call them golden years. Over 20% returns for the S&P 500. We've actually started this year for the S&P 500, one of the worst years in history. So it's not been a great start. And we are seeing that change a little bit now. Obviously, a lot of the market is being heavily focused on tariffs at the moment. That's driving markets. Before we got started today, there was some comments around sort of China and the US sort of pausing tariffs. So that's going to be the sort of the new world, we think, geopolitical. And then obviously, trade tensions, that's going to continue. But it's been a volatile start to the year, but we see volatility as opportunity.
Yeah, definitely. At eToro, you're kind of this all-in-one platform where you offer financial assets across Forex, stocks, crypto, the works.
Yeah.
So can you just tell me a little bit what's happening right now at eToro and tell us what's happening?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Look, I think that's the beauty, right? We're all in one. So we give investors this access to not just one asset, so stocks or something like that. We give them the ability to invest into whatever asset they believe is sort of going to perform well. And right now, that's a really great opportunity for investors. So not only can you own stocks, you can own crypto, which, as we know, has done very, very well, in recent years, but also given that we've seen a bit of a shift in the market in recent weeks, that sort of changed from a risk perspective, which means then we're seeing capital flow into assets like Bitcoin. Then we also offer gold, that sort of proven safe haven that investors have turned to during uncertainty. And that's, obvious given that its performance this year, it's up over sort of 20%. So we are sort of seeing that investors are taking that diversified portfolio. They're taking the opportunity to not only own one asset class, but also to own assets across different regions. So we mentioned that we own that we have different assets. So we have Forex, we have crypto, but from a stocks perspective, we also have stocks from across the world. So US stocks, stocks here in Dubai, stocks in in Abu Dhabi exchange, Europe, Australia, China, whatever it may be. So from that geographical perspective, that's really important because we're also seeing Europe outperform the US for the first time in many, many years. So I think giving investors that option, giving them that flexibility to be able to invest how they want is really, really important.
Definitely. And eToro has been around since 2007. So you've kind of seen how this all-in-one service has unfolded.
Yep.
So many traditional banks are now looking into offering those services as well.
Yep.
So would you say that the way that eToro has conducted their business and their business model, is that the future of finance?
Yeah, we might be the trendsetter, I'd say. Yeah. Look, I think so. I think in terms of having that sort of all-in-one, in terms of managing money, in terms of being able to, look after your capital, it does make it a lot easier, right, to have everything in sort of one place. And I think that comes from our perspective to sort of continue to grow. We know that there's this sort of huge generational transfer of wealth, underway. We're going to sort of continue to sort of see it over years, trillions and trillions of dollars passing down from generations to generation. And that is something that we want to sort of be a part of, whether that is from an investing perspective, whether that's from a saving perspective. In the UK recently, we've launched ISAs, so tax-free products, for example. In Australia, we recently acquired a micro investing company that also work with sort of superannuation, which is sort of retirement funds. And then here in the sort of the UAE, for example, we've recently sort of incorporated the sort of the UAE pass as well. So making that sort of onboarding easier for people. So again, we're not a sort of a one-trick pony, and I do believe that, as I say, we're sort of the trendsetters, and people are going to follow suit. And I think that from a fintech perspective, that is that sort of growth that we are continuing to see.
And I think that is really true. Just making it just a more seamless experience for everyone, and even when it comes to onboarding and just using the platform. So instead of having, let's say, someone who's never traded crypto before, it doesn't become this barrier as it is, let's say, going to a crypto exchange or something like that, right?
Absolutely. And I think the big difference is as well, it also comes down to sort of regulation, which is really important. We're regulated across the world, whether that be from the UK, here in the UAE, in Asia as well. So that's really important for investors to sort of have that comfort of knowing that you can buy stocks, you can buy crypto, on the idea that, you are with a sort of a regulated broker as well. So that's really important for us. And that's something that's been integral for our business since sort of 2007, since we started.
And you're a market analyst. So what kind of trends are you seeing now for 2025 when it comes to trading?
AI continues to dominate. Yeah. Again, that is something that obviously has come to the fold over sort of recent years. I think when we're sort of seeing that Magnificent Seven continuing to spend the billions of dollars that they have sort of said that they will spend this year, Microsoft, in the hundreds of billions, Amazon in the hundreds of billions as well, that is going to be somewhere that investors look at. We recently did a survey of about 1,000 retail investors here in the UAE and asked them how they see, sort of AI-related stocks performing moving forward. And over 80% said that they sort of believe that they're going to continue to see those stocks continue to increase over the next 12 months. So I think from an investor perspective, that is a trend that is really staying. Nvidia is a stock that is dominating portfolios locally here in the UAE and globally. It is the most owned stock at eToro globally. And I think that it makes sense, right? Even if we just look at something like ChatGPT, it has changed everybody's lives.
Yeah.
If you don't use it, you probably should be using it from an efficiency perspective, from a productivity perspective. And I think we're at the very, very early stages of this. This isn't something that that is mature. I think it's in its infancy. We're only going to continue to sort of grow. Of course, there will be speed bumps along the way, but I think there's great opportunity there. And then also from a crypto perspective, to sort of touch on that, we believe that obviously under the Trump administration, that we believe that there is a much better framework that's going to be in place over the sort of the years ahead, which we believe will sort of bring that environment for crypto to be able to sort of flourish. And I think that's why we're sort of seeing the performance of Bitcoin in the way it is, back over 100 sort of K now. And I think that when we look at that sort of framework that we believe is going to sort of come into place, whether that coming from a change at the SEC, whether that come from what we're seeing in states in sort of Arizona, New Hampshire within sort of the last couple of weeks, where they're sort of passing bills to, bring that sort of reserve currency to come through. That is something I think that Gen Z investors are particularly looking at. We're seeing that crypto is becoming a bigger part of investors' portfolios. Even just a sort of small allocation can go a long way. We know that volatility is part of crypto. So that sort of small allocation is vital, we think, now in an investing portfolio. But also at the same time, we think that the crypto's performance, particularly Bitcoin over recent years, has sort of basically proven that it deserves a place in a traditional portfolio. And, the likes of BlackRock bringing out sort of ETFs and, over sort of recent years, I think sort of shows that as well.
Yeah, definitely. And I think you mentioned something there about young investors, right? These young savvy investors. So I know that in the UAE, many younger people are now trading in crypto and stuff like that. So do you think like these younger people will really spearhead mainstream adoption? Have you seen any trends on eToro platform?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you can definitely see that difference between the investors of a younger generation and an older generation. I think from a younger generation, we're seeing that adoption of crypto assets. Arguably, it's something that they want to sort of be a part of. They're driving that innovation. They believe in it, right? And I think that older generation are maybe a little bit more skeptical.
Maybe they go to gold.
Yeah,
in uncertain
exactly.
times, yeah.
Correct. It's understandable, right? It's a new technology. It's something that it's still in its infancy. It's been around for a number of years now. But again, it is something that takes a little bit of time to understand. So I think from an older generation, again, it's one of those assets, right? We can't look at a balance sheet. We can't, study it from a cash flow perspective as you would a traditional business. And that is quite hard for some people to sort of focus on. But from a technology perspective, from that growth perspective, we've certainly seen that younger generation drive that. And that's where we're sort of seeing the bulk of our users, in terms of the ownership of crypto, certainly comes from a Gen Z perspective. But at the same time, I think the performance of crypto means that it's something that you can't ignore. And I think that we're even seeing a lot of people now wanting to integrate crypto into their portfolio. Even, as I said a minute ago, just a small percentage, given that it can, really, from a risk-adjusted return perspective, nothing comes close to it. So I think that's really important. I think investors are beginning to sort of know that. And it also comes from an education perspective. We're sort of doing what we can from, an education and knowledge perspective to sort of essentially say that this asset isn't something that's going to go away. This is what we believe is digital gold, and that it's something that's going to be here for a long, long time. And if we can help you understand that, then that's what we want to do as well.
Yeah, definitely. I've actually read some of those articles, so you guys are doing a great job when it comes to that. I just want to say thank you so much for joining me. It's been a pleasure speaking with you.
Thanks for having me.
Have an amazing FinTech Summit. It's
Thank
been
you very much.
busy.
Same to you. Thanks so much.
And I'll be bringing you more interviews. My name is Lisa Amnegard, and you're watching Web3 TV.
Web3.tv